So hi and Assalamualaikum. I'm going to describe about company nature of business. So firstly, EcoWorks Design Sdn Bhd is a manufacturing firm specializing in high quality, sustainable furniture. We produce tables and chairs made from reclaimed wood with premium maple and oak woods. And our target customer is eco-conscious homeowners. So our total initial capital is 2,500,000 ringgit funded by equal contribution of shareholders, which is each of our directors. With total of 1,250,000 unit of ordinary share. Next, the location of our business is Plot 6 Jalan Sultan Azlan Shah, kawasan perindustrian 11900 Bayan Lepas, Pulau Pinang, Malaysia. So list of our director of folio, which is AMIERAH HUSNA is the CEO, NURHANI is the production director, Faqihah is the finance director, and lastly ZULAIKHA is a marketing director. Next, I'm going to introduce about our products. So firstly, we have two products, which is Eco Dining Table with code ET100, and then we got Eco Dining Chair, which is on the ET200. And our estimated selling price for table is 5,200 ringgit per unit, and for chair is 350 per unit. And next, I'm going to explain about estimated sales unit. For tables, our estimated sales unit for quarter first of 2026 is 400 unit, and quarter 2 of 2026 is 500 unit. Meanwhile, for chair, for the first quarter of 2026, we planning to sell for 1,600 unit, and for second quarter of 2026, which is 2,000 unit. And our estimated inventory, firstly for chair, quarter 4 2025 is 40 unit, quarter 1 for 2026 is 50 unit, and quarter 2 is 60 unit. Meanwhile, for chair, quarter 1 is 160 unit, quarter 1 of 2026 is 200 unit, and quarter 2 of 2026 is 250 unit. Next is our direct material for each product. So for the first product, we have material A and material B. Material A is oak wood planks, which costing 100 ringgit per meter, and require unit for one table is 10 meters. And then for material B, we need eco varnish, which is 50 ringgit per liter, and for one table we only need 1 liter. And then for second product, which is chair, we have material C, which is maple wood plank, cost is 40 ringgit per meter, and we need 2.5 meters per chair. And then lastly, we got material D, which is fabric or cushion, which costing 30 ringgit per set, and we need 1 set per chair. Okay. And lastly, for each product, we have direct labor. Okay, so first, for the first product, which is table, we have two labor types. So the first type is carpentry, which is labor rate is 16 ringgit per hour, and required per unit is 5 hours. And next, we have sanding and finishing, which is labor rate of 12 ringgit per hours, and required hours per unit is only 2 hours. And then for the product chair, we have assembly and carpentry with labor rate of 16 ringgit per hour, and required per unit is only 2 hours. And lastly, polishing and upholstery with labor rate of 10 ringgit per hours, and required per unit is only 30 minutes.
Hi and Assalamualaikum, my name is Faqihah Darwisyah, and today I would like to present to you guys for each quarter, which is quarter 1 2026 and quarter 2 of 2026. So guys, let me move on to the first quarter of 2026 for the factory overhead cost. Okay, as on the slides, you guys can see that for the factory rent, you guys can see that it only amounted to 8,000 ringgit. Meanwhile, for the factory utilities, it amounted to 3,000 ringgit. And for the next one, which is factory supervisor salary, it involved only 2,000 per month. So how about the selling and administration cost? So for that cost, we had 3 costs, which is marketing and advertising, which amounted to 4,000 ringgit, and administrative staff salaries that amounted to 12,000 ringgit, and the last one, which is office rental, that had amounted about 2,500 per month. Okay guys, right now we had note about the quarter 1 2026. So let's move on to the next quarter, which is quarter 2 2026. So for the factory overhead cost, for the factory rent, it also involved with the 8,000 ringgit. Meanwhile, for the factory utilities, it had 3,500 ringgit, and for the factory supervisor salary, it had 2,000 ringgit per month. So let's move on to the last one, which is selling and administration cost. So for the marketing and advertising for quarter 2 of 2026, it had 5,000 ringgit. Meanwhile, for the administrative staff salaries, it involved 12,000 ringgit. And last but not least, for the office rental, it involved 2,500 per month.
Hi everyone, so today I am going to tell you about the EcoWorks Design sales budget. So for quarter 1 of 2026, for product ET100, we are expecting a sales of 2,080,000 ringgit. For product ET200, we are expecting a total sales of 560,000 ringgit, which makes the total sales budget for quarter 1 of 2026 to be 2,640,000 ringgit. For sales budget for quarter 2 of 2026, meanwhile, for product ET100, we are expecting sales of 2,600,000 ringgit. Meanwhile, for product ET200, we are expecting sales of 700,000 ringgit, which makes the total sales budget for quarter 2 of 2026 to be 3,300,000 ringgit. So, for production budget, for quarter 1 of 2026, for product ET100, we are expecting a required production of 410 units. For product ET200, we are expecting a required production of 1,640 units. So that makes the total production budget for quarter 1 of 2026 to be 2,050 units. For production budget for quarter 2 of 2026, meanwhile, for product ET100, we are expecting a required production of 510 units. For product ET200, meanwhile, we are expecting a production required of 2,050 units, which makes the total production budget for quarter 2 of 2026 to be 2,560 units. Okay, as for direct material usage budget, so for quarter 1 of 2026, we are expecting to use as much as 4,100 units of material A, 410 units for material B, 4,100 units for material C, and 1,640 units for material D. And then taking account these numbers, we're going for direct material purchase budget for quarter 1 of 2026. The total material to be purchased for material A would be 430,000 ringgit. For material B, it would be 21,000 ringgit. For material C, it would be 168,000 ringgit. And for material D, it would be 51,600 ringgit, which makes the total direct material purchase budget for quarter 1 of 2026 to be 670,600 ringgit. As for quarter 2, for direct material usage budget for quarter 2 of 2026, for material A, we are expecting to use a total of 5,100 units. For material B, we are expecting to use 510 units. For material C, it will be 5,125 units. And for material D, it will be 2,050 units. And taking into account these numbers, as for direct material purchase budget for quarter 2 of 2026, the total material to be purchased for material A would be 530,000 ringgit. For material B, it would be 26,000 ringgit. For material C, it would be 209,000 ringgit. And for material D, it would be 63,600 ringgit, which makes the total direct material purchase budget for quarter 2 of 2026 to be 828,600 ringgit. Direct labor budget for quarter 1 of 2026, for carpentry, we are expecting the total labor hours required to be 2,050 hours. For sanding and finishing, it is expected to take 820 hours. For assembly and carpentry, it's expected to take 3,280 hours. And for polishing and upholstery, it would be expected to take 820 hours. And then times we get a total of 32,800 ringgit for carpentry. For sanding and finishing, it would be 9,840 ringgit. For assembly and carpentry, it would be 52,480 ringgit. And for polishing and upholstery, it would be 8,200 ringgit. For quarter 2, meanwhile, for carpentry, we are expecting to take 2,550 hours. For sanding and finishing, we are expecting 1,020 hours. For assembly and carpentry, we are expecting 4,100 hours. Meanwhile, for polishing and upholstery, we are expecting 1,025 total hours. And times it with wage rate per hour, we got a total of 40,800 ringgit for carpentry, 12,240 ringgit for sanding and finishing, 65,600 ringgit for assembly and carpentry, and 10,250 ringgit for polishing and upholstery.
Okay guys, so let's continue this presentation by discussing about factory overhead budget. So as you guys can see, based on the slide here, for factory rent, it had 8,000 ringgit. Meanwhile, for the factory utilities, it had 3,000 ringgit. And the factory supervisor salary, it had 6,000 ringgit. But total here is 17,000 ringgit. So next, for the quarter 2 of 2026, for the factory rent, it cost 8,000 ringgit. Meanwhile, for the factory utilities, it cost 3,500 ringgit. And factory supervisor salary is same as the previous quarter, which is 6,000 ringgit. And it had total 70,500 ringgit. So we move on to the selling and administration overhead budget for the Eco Design Syndrome Heights. So let me see the first quarter, which is quarter 1 2026. So it had marketing advertising that only cost 4,000 ringgit. And next, it also has the administrative staff salaries that has cost 12,000 ringgit. And last but not least, for the office rental, it only cost 7,500 ringgit. So it total as much as 23,000 ringgit and 500. So guys, for the quarter 2 of 2026, for the marketing and advertising, it had 5,000 ringgit. Meanwhile, for the administrative staff salaries, it had as much as 12,000 ringgit. And last but not least, the office rental is same as the previous quarter, which is 7,500 ringgit. So the last amount, which is we total up all the costs, we get the 24,500 ringgit.
Now, I will explain how to get net profit. To get net profit, we have to make a statement of comprehensive income for quarter 1 and quarter 2 2026. So, first of all, after we get the sales for both quarter, we will have to minus with cost of sales. So to get cost of sales, we have to plus direct material and direct labor. After that, we will get the prime cost. After we get the prime cost, we have to plus with the factory overhead. And then we will get the cost of sales, and then we minus it with our sales. After that, we will get the gross profit for both quarter. And it's not finished yet. We have to minus with selling and administrative. and after that we will finally get our net profit.